The Welsh revival proves the moral argument for God. There is a moral objectives that we instinctively know is true, but due to our genetics, our reasoning is flawed and therefore we cannot synthesize them on our own. We humans can recognize this as correct when we see it. The moral argument is automatic. When Christians repent in mass, people see this and make their argument in the head, and if they're not too bitter, will convert. Also, our genetics makes it difficult to follow this law, and therefore we have to. This is why we have to rely on God to make it capable where we can obey such law. This is why I say Paul in Philippians 3:9 says he gets his righteousness through faith. The Welsh revival was one of the strongest revivals up to date. The crime rate for a certain amount of time went zero. It's like, I think 40,000 people were converted. High enough to know that it was not a fluke. It's easy to get a small number of people to behave, but when you get something as large as a city, at least a decent sized city, when you factor in probability, once you get a big enough sampling size, the thing you started seeing a good disposition of things. Like other things like from this revival, that the bars were completely empty and the soccer fields were no one there. The miners dramatically changed their language, and the donkeys weren't used to it. This is what happens when God gets hold of people. However, it's a two-sided coin. God has to choose to, and the people have to choose to repent. And it's been shown, not shown, but I think Finney thought he could get a revival going anytime when the people chose to repent, but I think history has found that out, that it also has to be God that interacts. And also, the Welsh revival would be something we would expect to happen if God is true, and second, that he is also the lawgiver. What happened in the 60s would prove what happens when people fall away from God. Things get more turbulent and we start on a decay. Currently, the Western world, in terms of economic seasons, is in winter. That's another thing. If the Christian concept of morality is true, we go through people go up and downs, where people repent through hard times, but when it comes good times they fall away. And this is why we seem like to have cycles. The last major cycle or economic winter was the Great Depression, where we will only get out of this economic season if we repent to a certain degree. When we start seeing things, repentance starting to happen, we will, I think what we've been seeing is and bottoming out, but kind of holding steady, and we will only see the uptick until people repent. When people repent, that allows society changes, things become more free, people are able to make investments that they couldn't, that the laws prevented them otherwise, and growth happens. Of course, when a society becomes more immoral, the bad laws are passed, and then things kind of get messed up, and the economy kind of starts to shrink. That is it.